This is really an interesting. There's a woman by the name of Dr. Cynthia Scott, and I heard her speak. She's all about corporate change. How do you get major corporations to change their culture? And she was saying, you know, the right way of doing it, people started denial that, you know, I really don't have to change. Then they moved to resisting change. Oh, God, this doesn't feel very good. I like it the way it was before. To exploring the options and then committing to change. And what we did was just superimpose the stages of change there and say, that's the way. So real change, if you really want to get a person to change, or even an organization to change, this is the right model. But Cynthia Scott said in her work, it turns out there's a Tarzan swing where people will deny they need to change, and then something slick or something comes up and they commit themselves and they start changing. This is very short term. These are the people, these are the organizations that fail time and time again. Why? Because they haven't done the grunt work of change, which is resisting change, exploring, and going out, you know, the other side. So this is what makes everyone feel real good in the first month, the first 3 months. Man, we got it done. Boom, let's go out the door and work on, you know, something else. But the grunt work of change hasn't taken place. So another way of looking at our, you know, approach, again, the employee is in the middle. You need the family people because they gain support from their family members, but also the employee can be the mentor of good health for the family members. On the other side, the corporate culture. Culture supports employee behavioral change, and then the individual employee adds to the corporate culture. We've seen this take place in every company where, you know, we have been. It's not easy, but we've seen how this is, I really think, part of what the answer is. It's getting there, it's hard. We came up after exploring a lot of different things into saying, if we're going to run 1 week, 1 month, 1 quarter, 1 year, and then stack years, how do you do that? I mean, isn't that a huge, huge task? We came up with, let's focus on one behavior per quarter. And so we did the research and found there were 4 major ones. Move more, stress less, eat smart, and healthy relationships. And found if you focus on one of those each quarter by the activities you do within your corporation, by the posters that you use, by other kinds of engaging ways, it's not like all over the board that can actually focus on those. And then once you get through one, then you continually reinforce that the following 3 quarters of the year. You don't just let go of it. But by having a singular focus, you maintain an interest level that when we didn't have it, it wouldn't work. You could get them very high and they'd be excited, and then they would drop. Here at the start of each quarter, there's a quarterly meeting, and we move on to this new area of interest and support. So we'll just kind of speed through these. I think all of you know these things, so frankly, you're just not, I don't have to read these. There's specific reasons why we chose these 4. We have the research support. If you stop there, this is the one that people ask us about. And we work with a research group out of Denver called PREP. And they're part of Denver U, but they've been studying the relationships, particularly marriage, for many, many years. Very sharp group of people. So they have helped us put this piece together. From a personal point of view, I was talking to one of you, I can't remember who. But if I look at the last 4 people we lost in my company that I desperately did not want to lose, all 4 of them were lost because of this one, with the relationship issues. There wasn't work-oriented things, there was things happening at home, divorces, bankruptcies, those kinds of things. So we feel this is a major, worthy 1 quarter of the year that should be focused on. Eat Smart is our last quarter of this year, and we have some journals that we'll pass out to each of you for that quarter. Healthy quarters helps maintain the momentum. It serves to be consistent for the whole year and then stack the years. When we first started this, we could spike people. Anytime you want to spike someone, you can. Or an organization, even a big corporation. You can get them up here, and then when they come down, it's a double negative, because number one, you aren't getting the effect that you want as they're dropping down, but people feel like that they have failed. It's their fault that it's been dropped down this way. So we kind of started with this approach that we wanted them not to get too high right at the start, but then we wanted to maintain that level of interest in support quarter after quarter, and then stack the year after year. We have an implementation guide here that really has the program that we believe is the best that we can get right at the present time. And we'll go into this, but this is really kind of the Bible of what is done. And this didn't work at all till we wound up having a corporate coach from our office work through a program coordinator of the corporations or organizations that we work with. So this isn't something that a person has to page through and say, oh my goodness, all of these things. It's our corporate coach that works with a person within the organization that really points to the areas of this that are most appropriate for that type of organization. Yeah?
Can I get a clarification on the last screen with the timeline on there? When you start out January with active living, in Washington State, it's not that easy to be active in the winter weather, but man, managing stress in the winter months would be a great place to start here in Washington. So are those interchangeable?
They could be. I mean, we're looking at that right now and playing with different organizations. I would challenge a little bit that maybe at the very time where it's the most difficult would be the time that you would really want to focus on. You know, there could be a sense that that's where the greatest need is. Just like over the holidays, eating becomes something over the Christmas holidays that it's really a good time to focus on that. But we do play around with splitting those up based on what part of the country they're in and so forth. We wound up finding out we need to have a staff with us that are corporate coaches that are talking to individuals throughout the country, working with trucking companies, working with distribution centers, call centers, banks, all of these different organizations. If you're really going to interact with them in a way that really helps them and individualize the program, you can't treat them all the same. It's just crazy. So we have an individual who will guide the person, if it's a trucking company, to those kinds of culture, employee-oriented things that are right for trucking companies. And that same person then will take what they've learned with banks throughout the country and say, here, if you're a bank, here are the kinds of things that would work in this kind of setting that wouldn't work for a trucking company. But this person meets over the telephone now once or twice per week with whoever the lead person is within the organization. Sometimes the phone call can be 5 minutes, sometimes it can be an hour and a half, based on what the efforts and what the needs are.